All right, guys, so the Virginia governor race is in the national spotlight as there was a debate yesterday between Mr. Terry McAuliffe, who is the current Democratic governor of Virginia, and Mr. Glenn Youngkin, who is a Republican challenger for that seat in Virginia. Now, in Virginia, guys, specifically counties like Fairfax County, Loudoun County, they have made national news over the fight regarding what kids should be learning in schools. Like I have been covering a lot on my channel. A lot of parents are upset across the country in regards to what these schools are now teaching kids, right? What they are exposing kids to, which a lot of it is, you know, a lot of sexual concepts, critical race theory, and, you know, LGBTQ education and stuff like that. Things that, you know, parents just don't agree with, right? They just don't agree with it, okay? And they're speaking up about this stuff. However, the liberal elite, right, backed by the teachers unions, they feel that they're God and that they should be able to teach children whatever they deem to be fit, right? No matter how inappropriate it actually is. And the Democrat governor of Virginia, Mr. Terry McAuliffe, he essentially comes out and says exactly what we all know about how Democrats feel in regards to education. That parents should not have a right to be telling schools what they should be teaching to their children. Take a listen.
What we've seen over the course of the last 20 months is our school systems refusing to engage with parents. In fact, in Fairfax County this past week, we watched parents so upset because there was such sexually explicit material in the library they had never seen. It was shocking. And in fact, you vetoed the bill that would have informed parents that they were there. You believe school systems should tell children what to do. I believe parents should be in charge of their kids' education.
Mr. McAuliffe, 30 seconds.
So first of all, this shows how clueless Glenn Youngkin is. He doesn't understand what the laws were because he's never been involved here in helping Virginia. But it was not. The parents had the right to veto bills, veto books, Glenn, not to be knowledgeable about it, also take them off the shelves. And I'm not going to let parents come into schools and actually take books out and make their own decision.
You vetoed it.
So, yeah, I stopped the bill that I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
All right, guys, so there you go. I mean, dude, Democrat mayor basically said, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach their kids in response to a question about sexually explicit material in schools, right? I mean, can you imagine that? This is your response to that question? Well, I don't think parents should have the right to tell schools they can't teach their kids about sexually explicit material. Democrats, man, okay? It's kind of one of those things where Democrats are telling you basically how all their policies work. Give me your money and we're going to do with your money what we want to do with it. You don't get a say, right? Even though you pay property taxes, even though you pay to go to these public schools, look, don't worry about it. We have the right to steal your money and then do what we want with the money. Even if you don't like it, you just need to shut up, right? And deal with it, right? You need to shut up and deal with it. That's essentially what he's saying. Now, what Mr. Glenn Youngkin was referring to in regards to the Fairfax County situation, I actually want to show you guys a news clip of what was going on there in regards to a couple books that were controversial, just so you guys get an idea of exactly what parents are complaining about. Take a look.
A nationwide controversy over school library books is now playing out in our area. Parents across the country have been going viral for reading sexual passages from books found in their children's schools at school board meetings. Last night it happened in Fairfax County, and News 4's Amy Cho has the story.
Graphic pictures and text found in a high school library book.
So this is pedophilia here. This is a man having sex with a boy.
News 4 is blurring these pages due to sexually explicit images.
Here the character is masturbating.
Mom Stacy Langton says she heard about sexual content in other school libraries, so she went to her own kid's school, Fairfax High, to investigate. Langton says she found 2 books describing sexual acts: graphic novel Gender Queer by Maya Kobabe and novel Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evison.
I mean, I don't know how you defend this. Like, why would you write such a thing? It's just garbage. It's absolute filth.
Last night, Langton spoke at the school board meeting.
The illustrations include fellatio,
sex toys.
Midway through, school officials appeared to cut her off.
There are children in the audience here. Do not interrupt my time. Do not interrupt my time.
Fairfax County Schools sent News 4 a statement saying, "We are working to verify the concerns raised at the school board meeting last night." News 4 also spoke with author Jonathan Evison. He says his book does not include any graphic images or pedophilia. He also says he stands by his work.
Lawn Boy is a coming-of-age novel. It's, innocent sexual experimentation between kids, which is actually kind of a common trope in coming-of-age novels.
He asked that we blur his face out of safety concerns.
The fallout's been awful. I mean, I've received death threats. It's quite disturbing. And, I've tried to shelter my family.
Fairfax County Schools tell us they plan to suspend the 2 books temporarily and form committees to review them. Those groups will contain staff, students, and parents who will make a recommendation on what to do. Amy Cho, News 4.
The publisher of Genderqueer tells News 4 the book is an important, timely piece of work and that limiting its availability is short-sighted and reactionary.
All right, guys. So you see that, you heard that, right? That's the type of stuff that parents are complaining about. And I just found it hilarious how during that school board meeting, it sounded like somebody said that, hey, children are here while she was reading, the parent was reading about what's found in these books, right? And I'm like, yes, that's the whole point, right? If you're not comfortable with children listening to this parent complain about what's in the book, then the book shouldn't be in school, right? Then why can you be comfortable with the book being in school, right? That is the whole point. The whole point is that it is uncomfortable, right? The whole point is that it probably shouldn't be there if it's really that graphic. If it's so graphic that you're not comfortable with kids listening to her describe what's in the book, right, during a school board meeting, yeah, I think people can agree, maybe we shouldn't have that type of material in school, right? And then the author of one of those books tried to say, well, it's just innocent sexual experimentation between children, right? Innocent sexual experimentation between children. That's the way the left frames this type of stuff, right? That's the way they frame this stuff. And it just blows my mind. Like, how can you listen to yourself say that and think that this is something kids should definitely be reading about, right? And listen, here's the thing, man. There's a couple points I want to talk about here. First of all, I want to talk about the whole censorship aspect. A lot of people are saying this is censorship, right? You're censoring what kids are reading in school and what they can learn. And this is what I want to say about that. Because, I am very strongly about free speech, right? But here's the thing, man. We have obscenity laws and we already censor things that kids are exposed to in school, right? I mean, on a ton of platforms, we have censorship to keep kids from being exposed to sexually explicit material, right? We already have that. And most people in our society agree with that, right? They agree that, yeah, kids probably shouldn't be allowed on adult websites. It's very simple. But for some reason, people want to cross censorship when we're applying the same thing that we've always done, that most of society agrees to, over books that are sexually explicit in public schools, right? Elementary schools, middle schools. It doesn't make sense. Now, when it comes to other types of censorship of things like, the books, To Kill a Mockingbird and other types of books like that, I don't agree with that, right? I think that's too far. I think that's ridiculous, right? You shouldn't be censoring those types of novels, right? But when I'm talking about sexually explicit material, like, you shouldn't be having that stuff in books in schools, right? In my opinion. And one of the reasons why I think this has become such a big deal is because you have a lot of people on the left, a lot of authors, leftist authors who write about this stuff, who write about it in a way that's explicitly designed for children because they want to indoctrinate children in certain ideologies. So they write these books and then they push them into schools in the name of so-called diversity. Well, because of diversity, kids need to learn about, different sexual orientations, right? And lifestyles. They need to learn about that stuff early on, right? In elementary school, they didn't learn about this stuff. Not do they just need to learn about the concept. They also need to learn about the actual acts, right? That go along with your sexual orientation. That's what's happening, right? That's the type of stuff that's happening that it's like, okay, well, this might not necessarily be right. Okay, again, I have no issues with somebody's sexual orientation and the lifestyle they want to live, right? But I don't think that you should be pushing this type of stuff on children. As they get older, when they turn 18, 19, 20, hey, fair game, right? Fair game. That's why I don't call for censorship in college, even though I know that a lot of liberal indoctrination goes on in college. But at the same time, these are adults. These people have studied long enough to where they've kind of earned the right to say what they want to say, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, you have a choice in regards to what college you go to, right? You actually have school choice. I'm not for censorship, but the thing is that we already have these laws in place that keep kids from being exposed to this type of stuff. And I don't see why that wouldn't be applied in this situation. And then you have a lot of people, you know, in the comment section of that video, because I got it from Glenn Youngkin. He posted it in his video, I mean, on his Twitter. They're saying, well, they should just homeschool their kids. If you don't like what kids are learning in school, just homeschool them, right? As if you're going to get your money back, right? You're going to get a refund from the state saying that, oh, you know what, you're homeschooling your kids. Here's your money. Here's all your property taxes that you paid back that goes towards school. Don't worry about it, right? Don't worry about it. Take that money and use that to educate your kids. That's not how it works. If you pay for a private school, you don't get reimbursed from the state because you're paying for a private school. You still got to contribute and pay for the public school system. Except maybe in certain situations where you may get like a small tax break, or if your child has special needs or disability and you have to send them to private school, then you might be able to get some reimbursement. So yeah, as long as we're paying into the system, you should have a right to say what you got to say, right? You should have a right to dictate what kids are learning, right? To a certain extent, okay? Especially when it comes to stuff like this. You know, these leftists, these people who say this, maybe they should agree on school choice, because that's ultimately the answer here, guys. The answer is to really, in my opinion, get rid of the public school system and just make it school choice. Everybody gets a voucher, and parents can decide what schools their kids want to go to, right? That way you have more of a free market-ish approach to this situation, where there will be schools that if they want to teach this stuff and parents agree with their kids that they should learn this stuff, great, you can send your kid to school there. But parents who don't want their kids to learn that stuff, they will have the option to send their kids to another school where they don't have to learn this stuff, right? And guess what? Again, they can do that with their taxpayer dollars. They don't currently have that option. And that's the problem. That's why they do have a right to speak up and to say what they got to say about this, right? So, like I said, man, I found it ridiculous that a Democrat governor actually said this at a debate, but it doesn't surprise me because, again, this is just a reflection of all Democrat policies. They want to take your money, and then you have no choice or say in what terms of what they do with that money, even if you don't agree with it, right? They tell you to shut up and sit down and know your place, okay? Even though you're the one that's actually paying the bills, right? Kind of crazy how that works. They believe that they're your God. That's what they believe. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.